Oh god, how does my voice sound? Oh god, that sounds awful. Sounds like crap. Okay, crap. What do I do here? Well. Man, what the hell? Alright, well, I guess I might as well rip what I did from my previous one. What the heck am I doing? Alright, what am I doing with this one? I'm changing my bands around. Give me a second. What's this one do? Almost done here. I also have gain at 5. Oh, that's a bad idea. Alright, so now I'm mimicking exactly what I did last time. Alright, now that all looks right. Change my tags. Oh god, I'm hearing myself. What else to do? Strategy games. Might as well turn up the audio and hear myself now. God, I'm coming in low. Alright, muted on Twitch and testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. All right, so I copy and pasted everything my band filters. Actually, I could have should check out what the other things I had on. Because I went to ChatGPT for my settings, and God, did that sound awful up front. So I went through my I got like this weird ass plugin that's, I don't know. Okay, here. No, I can't show you that one. Yeah. Which is a window capture. Oh no, it won't let me show it for some reason. Hold up, let me just hide a bunch of stuff. I can do display capture and you can see what I'm looking at. Where's display capture? There you can see it. Oh man, it's really small. But this is my plugin. So this is the settings I had for my mic, my previous mic. And this is the settings now for I have my new mic set up with the this thing actually like has an XLR cable, so it's not like you just plug it in to your computer with USB. I had to get an XLR cable to read from this mic to then go into my Focusrite or Focusrite adapter, and then that transmits into something that can go into my computer. So it goes from USB-C to USB in the back end of my computer, and now it sounds different. I have no idea if this is optimal or not. I'm heavily suppressing mid-band frequencies from like 500 or like 600 to 800, or no, like 1800 or something, or 1600. What is this one? I have it going up to 1480 hertz, and that's like really suppressing my nasaliness, I think. And I don't even know what the point of the band 3 is all the way at the other end here. This one. Yeah, it's really small. I should probably just zoom the fuck in. Nope. Yeah. Tracking the wrong mouse. I was balancing my tea on my thigh. Yeah, so here. So you see 1 to 1. Ugh. I don't know how it sounded good. Let me hear myself again. Where is it? Let me just turn this. Oh, wait, you can't even see this. I don't know. Let me read like a few lines from whatchamacallit, Mark Antony's Cry Havoc speech, or Shakespeare's monologue from Mark Antony, Cry Havoc. So I can hear myself. Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I'm meek and gentle with these butchers. I'm listening to myself on the feedback on my iPad. All right, I guess that's as good as I'm going to get. All right, so close that. Sure, minimize that. Turn off display capture. You don't need to see my screen anymore. Leave that up. What do I need? Yeah, like that. My other, no, not that one. That one. This one. There we go. When I type in the chat for on my YouTube, oh, it's not even reloaded. That's the problem. I was in the wrong screen. That's what happened. All right, now that went through. All right, so I'm not insane. All right, what the hell is going on? What is going on Zitter? Because that's my main source of information at this point, although that's probably bad. That's right. I need to go back and delete a tweet because I accidentally ugh. What notifications do I have? I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna block you. Everything's a bot out here these days. Oh, nope. I reloaded my other account. Yeah, I don't need to show you that. You don't want to see what's going on? I don't know. Some cosplay hoe was saying that they want likes being visible again on people's accounts so she can cyber stalk her fans to see what they're liking. And well, mine's going to be highly political. You'll probably block me if you see all the shit that's in there. Oh, all right. This might be something interesting to look at. Let me check. Use my studio mode more often now to see what the hell I'm going to look at. Ugh. All right, and transition. Man, how much latency do I have on my stream right now? Oh, finally. Man, that's like a good solid like 30 seconds. World according to Ronald Reagan by David Horsey, 1987. So you have Thatcher, socialist and pacifist wimps for the rest of continental Europe. Our missiles, their missiles, solidarity. Oh, with the Baltics, because they were trying to like put the Baltics within the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, unlike Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and whatever. Bulgaria. Muslims and maniacs. Okay, with a gun. Our arms shipments. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you, Crystal Moonlight. I just had to. I opened it up and it sounded terrible, and I realized my filters were completely different what I'd been using before. All right, commies and Great Chow Mein. Good commies and Great Chow Mein, because this is post Nixon's visit to China. Japan Incorporated, because it's a car. Our China, that's Taiwan, which is aggressively oversized. Kangaroos, no nukes on New Zealand. That's the only thing to understand it. North rich, South poor, us west, east them. Okay. Where's the lie? Libyan terrorists for all of North Africa. Egypt doesn't exist, even though this is post like Camp David Accords. There's Israel, which is like everything. And then there's Beirut in Israel. Our oil. Cuban mercenaries. Oh, wow. Now that's something that they took note that Central Africa is littered with Cuban mercenaries. Cuba is theirs. Grenada is ours. Who the heck is this guy? Who's this supposed to be? White folks, I guess that's South Africa. Thatcherland, Reaganomics prototype. Thank you. The audio sounds bad. I plugged out like $600 for all this equipment. But I did liquidate like $10,000 I had in a bank local to my home state that I've been collecting welfare checks off of. Which again, welfare checks, your unemployment insurance is not under the Social Security Administration, interestingly enough. And it probably doesn't, and it doesn't even come close to scraping the amount of money that goes to old age retirement. All right, Democrats and welfare bums in the Northeast, including Michigan and your state, Crystal, or Bernadette, UN, some spies in the UN. That seems a little bit too south for me. No, there's Long Island. I guess that's close enough. The White House, Republicans, and other real Americans. And then Ronald Reagan land. Oh, and homos out in San Francisco. Ectopia, backpackers, environmental freaks, and quiche eaters. Achidrania, a subsidiary of USSA Corp. So, oh yeah, they're just saying like Canada is just a subsidiary of the United States because honestly, yeah. Santa Claus, Iceland, not a summit. What? Oh, it's because like I think Ronald Reagan and Gorbachev had like a summit in Iceland or something. I don't get what that, that's a little bit out of date for me. Illegal aliens from Mexico, yeah. Hollywood and Disneyland. Contra country, drug pushers, our canal. But this is post-Carter, so we sold it for $1. All right. Oh, this is cute. Why don't I check in what's going on with Japan news? Let me scroll back. Let's see if I remember anything. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Former PM Suga to retire. Covered that. Former PM also reacts to the formation of the Centralist Reform Alliance. They're doing this because they're weak. Those who are strong in elections doesn't rely on that kind of thing. Notable cases of miscommunication have emerged between the two co-leaders of the CRA, prompting concerns within both parties about their coordination. For example, on January 15th, Noda stated that the two parties had been engaging in both public and behind-the-scenes discussions since the LDP leadership election last year. Saito said that there is absolutely no truth to claims that talks have been taking place with the CDP while Komeito was in coalition with the LDP. Sounds like a clown show, but maybe it might have enough weight to actually fuck the LDP's chances of winning this snap election. Centrist reform plans to not oppose nuclear power in its manifesto, even though reducing reliance on nuclear power and its gradual elimination had been one of CDP's core policies in the past elections, highlighting a move towards moderation. Interesting. So that's one less thing I can dislike the CDP over, or this new party over. And last news is, nope, get off that. LDP will allow lawmakers implicated in the 2023 slush fund scandal to run under the party's banner. A senior official said their atonement was completed in the previous election when they had to run as independents without party support. Did any of them keep their seats? So it looks like this is a total redoubt for the faction, the Shinzo Abe faction. So I don't know. Does Rintaro have any more updates on anything? LDP Vice President Aso Taro departed Japan today for South Korea, where he is expected to meet President Lee Jae-myung as a follow-up to Takeuchi Lee's summit this week. He will deliver a keynote speech at a symposium held in Korea. The ROK President Lee posted on X about this meeting with Aso, emphasizing the importance of lawmaker exchanges and discussions between politicians from both countries to continue building trust. All right. Nikkei reports that Japan has witnessed 2 dissolutions of the lower house in January. 1955 by Hatayama Ichiro and 1990 by Kaifu Toshiki, the most number of dissolutions in the post-war era. Total 27 times, happens in October. Oh, so it's a weird timing of the placement. Happened between October and December, 5 times in October. Interesting. Ishin co-leader Fujita Fumitake, wow, a name that names that don't end in I for once, said yesterday that while the primary goal in the lower house election is securing majority with the LDP, the party aims to exceed its current numbers of seats as well. All right, so they're not backing down, and there's going to be like no coordination with LDP. Delays in enacting the fiscal year 2026 budget and tax system reform plan could affect the implementation of flagship government of Japan policies like free high school education and scrapping vehicle purchase taxation scheduled for April. All right. What the fuck? I show speed stunned by Algeria's French-like architecture. Yeah, that's because they colonized it for a while. During Speed Does Africa tour on January 17th, the 20-year-old streamer Darren Jason Watkins Jr. marveled at Algiers' neoclassical facades built during 132 years of French colonial rule that ended in 1962. The clip prompted mockery over American history knowledge, with some calling it a fail in geography education, while defending noted U.S. curricula often skip such niche colonial details. The exchange sparked wider talk on what global history schools should teach. As Watkins kept streaming Algeria's traditions and landscapes. And Arch has to say, seriously, how bad is American education? It's French-related history, so the fact that he doesn't know this, like, at most, like, I would say, if I didn't know it was the French, I would say, oh yeah, that's right, North Africa was generally colonized all by Europeans at some point, so some European power colonized Algeria at some point. Then again, I also play tons of tons of map games, so I know France colonized Algeria. That's pretty stuck in my head. Why don't people thousands of miles away don't know about the obscure architecture history of my country? I should be on my other account. I need to... let me listen to what he has to say. I like how unsafe this setup is. I wonder if there is any police that like pull him over for this at some point. You're European, lol. Do you learn about American and Canadian colonialism, other Western Hemisphere colonization? Yes, I assume not to a depth that we do, which makes perfect sense. We do learn about African colonization. This is just a highly specific detail most wouldn't need to know. I agree. And this is all about Arch. This is all because of one thing Arch said, and other people arguing over it. Relooted trailer draws debate over heist repatriation theme. I've been hearing about like National Guard deploying, and I don't understand it. I haven't heard. Has there anything federal that's happened of this? Like White House announcement about this? Governor Tim Walz activated the Minnesota National Guard on Saturday to maintain order during intensifying so Tim Walz activated it. Maintain order during intensifying protests against ICE Operation Metro Surge, which has arrested dozens of undocumented immigrants with criminal records. Tensions stem from a January 7th fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good during a raid and ongoing clashes, including tear gas use and arrest of agitators. A conservative rally led by Jake Lang turned chaotic, with outnumbered supporters facing physical confrontations from counter-protesters, while local leaders like Maker Frey accused federal agents of chaos amid the DOJ probe into sanctuary city policies. I mean, the city can have those policies. I don't know if they can screw them or convict Frey or Waltz for anything. Conservative activist Jake Lang is pulled down into a crowd of rioters and taken away. What the fuck? Oh, God. Is he okay now? Reuse trash can. Where the fuck are they pulling him to? Are they just pushing him out of there? You gotta say, that's brave going into Minneapolis and being in support of ICE at this point. Oh, then there's somebody who's calling pedo patrol or whatever, pedo protector, because of the Epstein file stuff. All right, whatever. National Guard units are rolling into Minneapolis right now. I mean, they don't have guns on the top of them, so what is can't be that serious. All right, Minneapolis, far-left extremists pursued anti-Islam activist Jake Lang for several city streets with impunity after pulling off a ledge and beating him. Once he got in the car, they refused to let him leave and beat him more. Who is Jake Lang? Is he even on Twitter? ICE Markets. ICE, what the fuck? Connects people, data, and technology to and expertise that create opportunity and inspiration. Is this an ad? It just took the name ICE. When was this? When did they even start their account? In 2009. Wow, you picked the wrong name, guys. Ooh, Republicans against Trump. Do I follow these guys? Should follow them. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bonvino marches through Minneapolis surrounded by federal agents shouting at American citizens. This isn't about deporting the worst of the worst. It's about deliberately sowing fear and chaos in cities that oppose Trump. Oh, he's got a new, like, trench coat. How tall is he? Gotta give credit. He's leading from the front. I can't really, say that he's not, like, he's not putting himself at risk. Okay, Boomer. Man, they have to do this like every day is clear out the front entrance. Also, apparently, all these protesters didn't know that ICE had a secondary entrance in the back of this facility. What the fuck? Does he have a G36 or is that a shotgun? Hold up. What's the shot? What does he got? Is that the G36? No, it can't be. No, it looks like it's got like a large diameter barrel. Maybe it's, why is she carrying a flag like that? Is that like, the flag she received from a dead veteran father or something? Relative? Nah, that looks like a grenade launcher. Obviously not for grenades. Oh my god, and the stupid ass flag that Minnesota picked. Oh, like, look at this. So, Republicans against Trump and Benny Johnson both using the same footage, but completely different framing. 24 officers just resigned from the Minneapolis Police Department. 18 of them have already joined. Oh, really? Cops are getting rid of tired for... Okay, I need a... Grok, please check this. Verified X account, specialized in crime intel, has amplified the narrative, garnering 6,000 likes. Do you got a source for this, buddy? There'll be more for sure. Liberals are pushing. Who is this guy? Can you over culture, crime, politics? I don't know. He's been doing, I don't know, he's been here since 2021. I don't know, I guess this guy's all about police stuff, so I don't know where he's saying this. So this is like the only tweet. All right. Well, let me try looking this up, see if I can find anybody who else has reported this. A 100 Minneapolis officers applied for new paid leave. Makeup Jerry Fright just took a major blow to his already defunded police squad, reporting 24 have quit the decimated. All right, where's this from? Breaking news. Who is this account? It's completely cropped off. I can't see it. This is an Instagram story from Breaking News ABC 30. All right, so I don't know where this initial story is coming from. All right, let me do a search somewhere on, let's see here. I'm doing this on DuckDuckGo. See if I can find a news article. I'm hearing about resignations coming from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota. I'm going to all... Oh, some sort of like... fact-checking website. Oh, god damn it. I didn't mean to do that. Executive summary. No reliable reporting in the provided documents say that Minneapolis Police Department officers resigned and then went to work for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The coverage instead documents resignation from the Department of Justice and sharp local policy shift to limit NPD cooperation with ICE. Okay, so I have no idea where this guy's getting this from. Yeah, source, buddy. Thank you. Somebody need to say it. I made it up. He rubbed one out and had an epiphany. All right. So yeah, things are just continually being on fire in Minneapolis. Just making the, let's see here. Native Americans are protesting ICE after ICE detained 4 Oglala Sioux tribal members in Minneapolis. 3 are still unaccounted for. Let that sink. The original Americans are getting treated like illegal aliens. I imagine they probably got arrested for interfering with, Did the Sioux Indians do headdresses like this? This shit looks like very, like, Mesoamerican to me. I could be wrong, but it just screams like Aztec shit to me. Look up here. I'm gonna take this off for a second. What is it? Oglala Sioux ceremonial headdress. Oh, god damn it. Yeah, no, it looks like the usual, like, layer, at least the pictures I'm getting. Yeah, no, this is like the usual shit with the feathers, like eagle feathers sticking out of the head. That's like stereotyped. I don't know. This here is this Oglala Sioux Indian little head and headdress photo. That's the closest thing to what I'm seeing here. But this still looks like a little bit out there, like very Mesoamerican. Yeah, like even that dial thing looks like Mesoamerican. I don't know if these guys are actual, like, Sioux. It looks like some of them are, but man, it looks like the Aztec meme stuff is, like, percolating its way through. It's a way to associate, that would be a weird thing if, like, Native Americans started adopting Aztec aesthetics to signal their different, to signal solidarity with, like, indigenous and, I don't know, mestizo and Indio populations across America. Like, you're just dancing in the middle of a street and making everyone's day hell, but whatever. Anti-Islam activist Jake Lang was pulled down from a legend to a far-left mob who surrounded him and beat him on the head. The rioters believe mass migration must not be stopped. Well, he's... Oh, and what's his face over here? What's he gotta say? Yeah, that's right. There was like 2 people in a coffee shop, and then anti-ICE protesters mistook them for ICE agents, and then tried surrounding them and harassing them. And then apparently one of them was in an anti-ICE signal chat room, and was like I don't know, got some wearing it. And then there was some other person who was just wearing like hunter camo, like a camouflage jacket that a hunter would wear, and got beaten up. It was so stupid. It's just like, I'm one of you guys. I'm one of you guys, just because he was wearing camo. I don't know. That's military coded or something. All right, that's enough of this shit. Would you ditch Facebook forever for $4 million? Sure. I don't even touch the account I have on there. Why is Witkoff trending? This is from yesterday. Trump just tapped Marco Rubio. Oh, this is for the Board of Peace shit. It's nothing but a billboard of billionaires and war criminals. Trump, Rubio, Kushner, Blair, Werkoff, Rolwin, people with power but no conscience. Palestinians have survived wars, resist more, and they aren't alone. Millions around the world stand with them. It's just random complaining about it. The Reagan caucus. If FDR sent Witkoff to Nazi Germany in 1940, he'd say that Hitler promises the Jews are treated fine and even better. He wants to do business. FDR would never have sent somebody like Witkoff. You'd have to say, I don't know, a Republican who won on an isolationist message in 1940 with World War II raging, sent like an emissary for, I don't know, try and like broker peace between Britain and Nazi Germany. Like telling Britain, like, we're not going to sustain you through this war. So, like, that would be that's an interesting counterfactual. Is, say, a Republican wins the 1940 election, and they, with the powers of the presidency, although after 2 terms under FDR, there would be a question whether or not an Republican president could effectively wield and control the government. But in this case, maybe he gets control of the State Department, and then stops pushing through platforms on, doesn't sign up all the aid on the, doesn't enact, you know, like Lend-Lease or arsenal of democracy rhetoric, and tells Britain just like, we need peace. And we're not going to give you any more support, Britain. So we will broker a peace deal between you and Britain. Although, you know, with like half of Western Europe occupied, that would kind of be a weird thing. That would be an interesting thing. Like, we end up like making Britain subservient to the rest of the U.S., to us, in that, while signing off Western Europe to be under the domination of Nazi Germany. That would be an interesting thing. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, like, what the chances are that they would let go of Britain, Belgium, Netherlands, and France, and say, oh, they can go back to status quo ante, instead of, you know, them getting to hold a, you know, enforce Nazi aligned regimes. That would be an interesting counterfactual. I got into the mechanics of too much, but a Republican wins in 1940, maybe because, let's say, FDR keel hauls all of a sudden, and no Democrat can carry his candor, or can politic like FDR did. And so Democrats lose the White House. Maybe they maintain the Senate and the House in the wake of that. But with FDR out of the executive office, the Republicans are far more able to control diplomacy, and then they try and negotiate some sort of peace negotiation against. You know, I got 44 minutes. I want to ask Grok this. I gotta change accounts real quick. Yeah. Alternate history scenario. Wow, I cannot tell. And the candidate pledges to negotiate a peace between Britain and Nazi Germany. while FDR uh FDR either keels over or gets way sicker way earlier than in history, and news breaks out about it. About it. How would Joel attempts at brokering he's B and let's assume that the new Republican president will not lend aid to Britain and will actually pursue neutrality, the vice what happened with FDR. What the fuck? All right, this would be an interesting scenario. This is just like absolute slop content here, going to Grok to give me an alternate history thing. Thought for 12 seconds. Set up an alternate scenario. In our timeline, Franklin Delano Roosevelt won a third term like 1904 presidential election against Republican Wendell Willkie amid growing U.S. involvement in World War II through measures like the Destroyers for Bases deal and later Lend-Lease. The U.S. maintained normal neutrality until Pearl Harbor in 1941, but FDR's administration was increasingly pro-Allied. In this alternate history, let's assume the Republican candidate, likely Willkie, who was interventionist but could pivot, or a more isolationist figure like Robert Taft or Charles Lindbergh wins a platform emphasizing strict neutrality in opposition to U.S. entanglement in Europe's war. The pledge to broker peace between Britain and Nazi Germany aligns with isolationist sentiments from groups like the American First Committee, which argue the U.S. should stay out of the media as possible. To make Republican victory plausible, FDR's health declined sharply earlier, perhaps a severe polio-related complication or heart issue mid-1940, with leaks to the press exposing his frailty. This could erode public confidence in FDR's leadership during the crisis, swinging voters towards anti-war Republican. The election result, Republicans take the White House and possibly maintain or gain congressional strength in isolationist fervor. The new president, let's call him President Isolationist for generality, but modeled on Willkie Taft, immediately halts any proto-Lend-Lease aid discussions, enforces true neutrality under the Neutrality Acts, and refuses to extend credit or material support to Britain. No arsenal of democracy rhetoric. Like I said, instead, focus on domestic recovery from Great Depression and hemispheric defense only. Potential attempts at brokering peace. By late 1940, the war's European theater is at a stalemate. France has fallen. The Battle of Britain rages July to October 1940. Winston Churchill's government is committed to fighting on. Adolf Hitler has floated vague peace overtures to Britain. His July 1940 Reichstag speech offering terms, but these demanded British recognition of German dominance in Europe. Terms Churchill rejected outright. The U.S. has a neutral power with diplomatic ties to both, could theoretically act as a mediator, but success would be improbable due to irreconcilable goals. Here's how the peace brokering attempts might unfold under the Republican administration step by step. Initial diplomatic outreach, November 1940 to early 1941, when we're still in a transition phase. The new president announces U.S. neutrality and offers mediation in his inaugural address or a special message to Congress. This could involve sending envoys like former President Herbert Hoover, an isolationist with European ties, to Ambassador Joseph Kennedy, already in London, sympathetic to appeasement, to sound out both sides. U.S. diplomats in Berlin via Charge d'Affaires Alexander Kirk, in London, proposed a conference perhaps in a neutral venue like Lisbon, Portugal, or even Washington, D.C. The pitch, a reasonable peace preserving British independence while acknowledging German gains in Europe. Poland, France. Hitler's response, likely positive initially, as he wanted Britain out of the war to free resources for Operation Barbarossa. Invasion of the USSR planned for spring 1941. Terms might include demilitarization of the British Empire. Oh man, that is asking a lot. Return of colonies to Germany. Okay, maybe. And non-interference in continental affairs, echoing his historical offers. Britain responds, Churchill would vehemently oppose viewing it as capitulation, with no U.S. aid forthcoming. Britain is strained, rationing, bombing, but public morale is high post-Battle of Britain victory. Churchill might publicly denounce U.S. initiative as naive or pro-German, rallying allies like Canada and Australia against it. Escalation of efforts, mid-1940. If initial talks stall, the U.S. could leverage economic pressure subtly, threatening to cut off all trade with Britain, oil, food, unless they negotiate, while maintaining commerce with Germany via neutrals. This aligns with true neutrality, but weakens Britain further. So being even more aggressive to Britain than, say, Trump is being to Ukraine right now. Back-channel negotiations. The president might involve influential isolationists like Lindbergh to meet with German officials, or use Vatican intermediaries, Pope Pius II had peace leanings, or Swedish diplomats for shuttle diplomacy. A formal peace proposal, the U.S. draft terms like a ceasefire during withdrawal from Western Europe, unlikely to be accepted by Hitler, British recognition of Axis control in Eastern Europe, and U.S. guaranteed disarmament zones. This could be presented at a summit, but Hitler would insist on hegemony while Churchill demands full German retreat and reparations. Challenge and rope. All right, so the way that Grok's likely outcomes and consequences, failures of peace efforts. High probability, 89%. Talks collapsed by 1941 as Hitler invades the USSR. Anyway, shifting focus eastward, Britain isolated but unbroken, continues the war, perhaps seeking covert aid from elsewhere. The remains neutral longer, avoiding Pacific War with no embargoes to provoke Japan. All right, that's another thing. So the war rages in the Pacific without the U.S. continues to stay out. Low chance, 10 to 20%. If Britain's situation deteriorates rapidly without aid, intensifies U-boat warfare, sinks more convoys, a Halifax-led government negotiates a white peace, Britain exits the war, retains its empire, but allows German dominance in Europe. This could lead to a Cold War like standoff earlier with the U.S. fortifying the Americas. Long-term ripple effects. No U.S. entry means prolonged European war. Germany might overextend against the USSR without Western Front distractions. Post-war, a neutral U.S. emerges economically dominant, but isolation is potentially delaying Cold War dynamics. Holocaust and other atrocities continue unchecked longer, altering global memory. All right. I've gone off enough, but I did yap for. I had to figure out my audio situation for it, so that would be interesting. So yeah, that maybe you'd have to have Hitler break something or something tragic happen to Britain. So wait, going back to what that said, where was the battles of? Let's see here. October 1940. So the Battle of Britain would have been over. So Britain would be sort of on a recovery arc. I would have to question what other things would go on, would be going on. Let's say, I think something that would have to happen is something else has to go. Hitler pushes Franco to actually join in the fucking war. I'm sending troops from southern France to wow, I completely forget the mountain range that separates Britain and France. Not the Apennines, that's in Italy. I'm sending a column to your country to go and take Gibraltar. They are under strict orders to go through with the expectation that you will let them through, and if not, they're gonna fire on you. So tell them to go through, enter the war on our side. We take Gibraltar and cut off the Mediterranean. Meanwhile, the Rommel is actually able to make some success, and what's his face Monty fucks up the Battle of El Alamein somehow, and now German troops are hitting the Suez. So now the Mediterranean's locked off, and then Japan enters the war, starts attacking British colonies in Southeast Asia, and maybe they don't even they don't necessarily do that, or let's see, they get Vietnam, and they also get get Indonesia transferred to them because that government's in exile. Germany puts up a puppet Dutch government and then says we hand over Dutch Indonesia to the Japanese. They can take control of it. Japanese roll any Dutch resistance in the islands, and they get access to oil from down there. But don't necessarily touch Britain just yet. But now Britain is feeling even more surrounded. So with those three more pieces, then Britain might be in a shoddier state. If they're losing the Mediterranean, the Germans have hit the Suez Canal and are possibly about to hit into into the resources of the Middle East and all the oil there, and then dominance of the Mediterranean, then they might feel like, oh God, we need to make peace. And then the U.S. sort of absorbs Britain's empire as its own in some way. That would be an interesting scenario. But all right, nope. Let me just check up with Clash Report what's happened in the past few hours, if anything big is going on. The SDF is still fighting with the Turkish forces. All right. Israel urged Trump not to strike Iran, warning that it was not fully prepared to absorb Iranian retaliation without strong U.S. military backing. Israeli defenses were already strained after heavy interceptor use during a recent conflict with Iran, and absence of nearby U.S. aircraft carrier heightened vulnerability. Netanyahu personally called Trump to press for restraint. U.S. officials said Israel relies heavily on American naval and missile defense support, which was not yet in place, helping tip Trump's decision to hold off the strike. Wow, so the Israelis bailed out the Ayatollah regime more out of self-interest than any like saying like, oh, we need to not fuck up the Middle East. Any realistic détente with the Iranian regime. They're feeling strained. Saudi Arabia joined Arab allies in urging Trump to avoid military strikes on Iran, worrying that retaliation could destabilize the region. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman personally called Trump to press for restraint. Saudi officials feared Iran's response would be broader and less calibrated than past exchanges, potentially threatening Gulf security, energy markets, and U.S. interests. Saudi diplomatic lobbying alongside concerns from Qatar, Oman, and Egypt helped push Trump towards standing down. Honestly, I'm feeling like the moment for getting rid of the Ayatollahs has passed. That's my feeling right now. Like, we had the opportunity, the protest, but it seems that they have this nation on lockdown right now. Now, if they lift that up in any way, will the protests reemerge? Or people now like quelled because they went around gunning down anybody? What's Alice Weidel have to say? We've heard for years loud outrage of Putin violating international. Now the same critics are strangely quiet when Trump does what they criticize Putin for, violating sovereignty in Venezuela with Greenland. What are you talking about? All the Europe is completely in upheaval about the U.S. trying to take Greenland. But I guess she's doing what she has to do is not sound like an American fifth column in the country by denouncing what's going on with Venezuela and Greenland. With Greenland. Senator Graham on Iran. The Arab countries in the region have been more than disappointed. Oh, this is fucking funny. Also, holy fuck, Lindsey Graham has gotten old. Bruh needs to retire. God, who the heck would replace him at this point? He has like been a fixture since like the 2010s. But yeah, man, talk about like a Holden Bloodfast. All right, what's his name? Let's see if I can find it. "118 years old. Please, God, let us just nuke Iran. Nothing else matters. I'll do anything, please. I just want to see burning flesh one last time before I die. Respectable bipartisan." He is the absolute, what is it? Bloodfast Ascended. No, you can't find it. There's one where he's like ascended as like a cornate berserker or something. Hold up. I'm gonna go to Google. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Ascended Daemon Prince Holden Bloodfast, Cornate Berserker, Immortal Daemon, ascended after the U.S. bombed Iran, wants to see the world drown in blood, respectable bipartisan. So, the fact that he's like getting pissy, he's like getting pissy with Israel. He didn't mention Israel because apparently they did that. They also called in, but now he's like, I don't like our Arab allies for not standing with us to trying to intervene to save the Ayatollahs. Are you kidding me? That is just so. Well, all right, what does he say now? I don't know. He's ranting and raving at this point. I don't care. Because remember, China brokered a normalization pact between Saudi Arabia and Iran. I don't know if the rest of the Gulf states have some sort of deal with what am I thinking of? Any sort of deal with Iran to normalize relations. So, to a certain extent, Saudi Arabia may prefer the Ayatollahs for stability instead of even though as much as Iran causes instability with their funding of various like militant groups across the Middle East to try and fuck with Israel, they're still better than whatever chaos might come in the collapse of their regime. Syria's government presented a 12-point plan to the SDF, including handing over. Oh, my phone went off because I said Syria. Including handling over borders and crossing, transferring oil and gas resources. And accepted limited government posts along with other conditions. Syrian government offered Mazloum Abdi the post of Hashak governor. Is this guy in charge of the SDF? Trump has violated fundamental campaign promises, namely not to interfere in other countries, and we will have to explain this to his own voters. His voters will go along with whatever he does. Mein Herren. Or what's this? What's the... If I want to talk what's the female equivalent to Mein Herren? I probably even got mein Herr. Mein Herr is an old-fashioned, somewhat theatrical and formal, polite way to address a man in German. Meine Dame. So that's what I say. So, meine Dame. The MAGA voters will follow whatever the fuck Trump did because we're not getting boots on the ground in Venezuela or Iran or in Greenland just yet. So, they can be bended to whatever Trump wants. And the moment Syrian army forces entered the strategic city of Takba in the countryside of Raqqa. I'm hearing gunshots, but I'm not seeing anything. Man, everything is just so burnt out and destroyed out here. Inmates at 3 Guatemalan prisons riot on Saturday, taking at least 46 hostages, mostly guards. Security forces, including the army, have secured the prison perimeters and are working to restore order. No deaths or injuries have been reported. Okay, random. This happened in like Ecuador, and they recorded a hanging of some prison guard, and then they had to go like crazy. The Ecuadorian government had to go hardcore in there to clear it out. That was like, man, that was 1 or 2 years ago at this point. The Trump administration is asking countries to pay at least $1 billion for a permanent seat on Trump's proposed Board of Peace. Trump would chair the board, control membership, approve decision, and oversee funds. Countries contributing $1 billion in the first year would be exempt from term limits. Okay. Oh, man, this has got a lot of comments under it. Protection racket. Okay. If this is true, this is the biggest grift I've ever heard. That blood money comes with one-way ticket to you-know-where. The grift never sleeps. Ultimate grift, monetizing peace. Another scam. Chair the board, he would control. So he thinks that we're going to use the membership. Epstein client list. Oh, God. Just one scam after another until he paid EG. Has he paid Eugene yet? I have no idea who that is. Gaza Peace. Board of Peace. Center Fire Zone, settlements, yada yada. I can imagine what the emojis on that are. I don't know. Does OSINT Defender have anything? It's 4 hours ago. Statements posted by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in response to today's Trump tariffs from President Donald Trump. Oh yeah, that's right. Trump's going to levy tariffs on anybody who disagreed. Anybody who sent troops to Greenland. Our petition on Greenland is very clear. It is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, and its future is a matter of the Greenlanders and the Danes. We have also made clear that the Arctic security matters for the whole of NATO, and allies should all do more together to address the threat from Russia across different parts of the Arctic. Applying tariffs on allies for pursuing the collective security of NATO allies is completely wrong. We will, of course, be pursuing this directly with the U.S. administration. Yeah. Although here's the thing, like they function like I think the majority of the parties in the Greenland Parliament are parties that agree on independence. They just haven't pulled the trigger yet. And there's like 2 unionist parties that want to maintain under Denmark. I wonder what the demographics of that arrangement are. So honestly, what like Trump wants to say, oh, we want to have complete ownership of it, but the most likely path that this could go is Greenland declares independence and then gets a compact of free association agreement with the U.S. like a bunch of Pacific Island territories have. So that would be the most likely thing, but maybe that's not enough for Trump. So Scott Greer wrote an article on Substack about like why we need to get Greenland. The obvious, the reason why is because anti-colonialist rhetoric, which some of the Europeans are susceptible to, could be leveraged. China could like flood some money under dark channels into Greenland to pursue colonialist narrative and also allying with China. So actually make the Greenland pull a trigger for independence and then start a relationship with China, which point then Greenland becomes some protectorate of the Chinese Communist Party or the People's Republic of China. So that could happen, and Greenland's probably, you know, now that this has started up, Greenland is probably going to declare independence in like within a decade of this whole row coming up. So